Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside Bring Out Your Men, Gentlemen, The Battle of Bronner's Farm. This is a game designed by Claude Whalen, and it is published by Tiny Battle Publishing. Well, this is the third entry in the Shattered Union series, and the first one was created by Herm Luttman, and since that time, Claude Whalen has taken it and run with it, first off with the Conquering the Valley, and now with Bring Out Your Men, Gentlemen. This system is a derivative of the one we saw in A Most Fearful Sacrifice, but he wanted to streamline it a little bit more and make the games more accessible to any level of wargamer, and to provide games that we can play in under 3 hours. So that's really fantastic. And I think the series really does a great job of that because the maps are just the right size to give you good maneuver room, and you have enough counters to make the battle interesting without any of it being unmanageable, which is great if you're playing 2 players as well as solitaire. So let's take a look at the back of the box and see what this game's all about. Heavily influenced by his popular A Most Fearful Sacrifice, Herm Luttman's Shattered Union series is a new line of American Civil War wargames designed to be accessible to gamers of any experience level. The series aims to provide a playable wargame experience in about 3 hours. Following the release of The Hill of Death and Conquering the Valley, Bring Out Your Men, Gentlemen is the third module in the Shattered Union series. The game covers the initial fight of the Second Battle of Manassas. Jackson attacks one Union division, but finds that the Iron Brigade is worthy of its name. Players can fight the entire historical battle, a shorter version of the historical fight, or an interesting what-if scenario where more Union forces have a chance to enter the fight. The game is on a different scale than what was used in the first 2 games in the series. Besides using demi-companies, the rules on rallying forces differ, and therefore the game better reflects the stand-up fighting conditions at Bronner's Farm. And you can see an example of the cards, the counters, and the map that come with the game. And for the components, we get a 22 by 17 inch map, 252 counters, 62 cards, 2 player aids, 1 series rulebook, 1 game module rulebook, and 5 6-sided dice. It is for ages 9 and up, and the playing time is 3 hours. So let's take a look inside and see what we get. All right, we got our pack of dice, deck of cards, the series rules, the game-specific rules, our player aid, counters, and our map. So let's set up the map and take a closer look at the game. And here's a look at the map that comes with the game. It is a very beautifully done map, very easy to read. All the terrain features are easily distinguishable, and the names are easily readable. Stewart's Hill at the bottom left. At the top left, we have Little Bull Run, Groveton over here on the right, and Bronner's Farm is right here in the middle. When it comes to the terrain itself, we start off with level 1, then we have level 2, level 3, and then some little bit of level 4 here. Only 3 hexes worth, but you can see that the changes in the elevation are easily distinguishable by the colors. They darken as they get higher. Plus you have these gray slope markers act as contour lines telling you that there is a terrain elevation change. Best part about it is the terrain effects chart is right here on the map. That was an oversight in the last game. This time they've corrected it and they've added it to the map. There's only a few terrain features and pieces of terrain that you need to worry about in the text, so it's not like it's a really long drawn out one, but it's great to have it right there on the map. We have the turn track at the top left as well. And this one drills down a little closer because each of these hexes is only 75 yards across. The last one was 300 yards across. But overall, really nice map, and it's going to look great on the table. Next, we'll take a look at the player aid that comes with the game, and on the back of the box it said it came with 2, but my copy only comes with 1, so I don't know if that's just something that is an oversight on the back. They may have not corrected that from 2 to 1, or if it is supposed to ship with 2. Either way, 1's going to work just fine because it's a nice big player aid, so playing 2-player, just easily have it out there for both players to look at. On the front, we have all of the tables that we'll need for the game. We have the combat results table, commands allowed, fire combat advantages, ammunition problems, weapons ranges, brutal melee, close combat cohesion test type, fire combat cohesion test type, defensive fire results, and the close combat advantages tables. Inside of the foldout, we have a detailed sequence of play, listing out all of the steps that you'll be taking and their associated instructions. Next, we'll take a look at a few examples of the activation and event cards that come with the game. These are the activation event cards, and then we have a couple of leader cards on the right-hand side. Union cards on the top and the Confederate cards on the bottom. Some of these cards you have to play immediately, as it says on the card. Others you will hold in your hand and you can play anytime that you need to. Like, for example, Good Ground. It says, hold. Play this event anytime before a new card is drawn this turn. Place the Good Ground chit in any rebel-occupied hex. All Confederate units in that hex targeted by fire combat or in that defending unit in assault combat will apply a 2-column shift to the attacker. Units may leave the hex normally, but if that hex is then empty, remove the chit immediately. Otherwise, the chit is removed at the end of the turn. And as you can see, they're all very self-explanatory. Some will give you offensive and some will give you defensive benefits. And as we saw with the Good Ground, that gives you other benefits that can help you. When it comes to the leader cards here, you're going to roll the dice and that will tell you what your activation is. For example, Maneuver Doubleday. You roll a D6, you roll a 1, no activation. You roll 2, 1 regiment. If you roll a 3, 4, and 5, it is artillery and 2 regiments. And if you roll a 6, it is an artillery and brigade. For the Confederate, Maneuver Taliaferro, you have no activation on 1. Rolling 2 through 6, you get an increasing number of regiments from 1 through 4, and then finally, you can activate a brigade. And the last two types of cards are the Fog of War and the Friction of War. Friction of War, discard the next draw an activation card without it having any effect, and the Fog of War. This is where you're going to be rolling 2 dice, and you're going to be applying various effects to either the Union or the Confederacy, and this is where it could work in your favor or it can throw you way off. And that's what I think is really cool about it, because it does very simply but effectively introduce the fog of war and the chaos that that induces into combat. Next, we'll take a look at the counters that come with the game. On the first sheet here, we have primarily Union forces and then some Confederate forces on the bottom. The counters are very easy to read. The color-coded bar at the top here for the Union, that's going to tell you which brigade the unit belongs to at the top right. You'll also have a 2-letter code, and that is going to tell you the parent unit. Below that, we have 2 numbers on the bottom left. That is going to be your strength point. And on the bottom right, that is going to be your cohesion value. The strength points in this are going to be different than the last one. Just like we saw at the map, it is 75 yards across versus 300. Here, the strength point values are going to be 25 men per strength point versus 100, which we saw in the last one. And each artillery piece will be 1 cannon. The same information holds true for the Confederates, except for their color coding. That will indicate which regiment they belong to and not brigade. On the next sheet, we have more Confederate forces, and those finish out on the third sheet, with the rest of the sheet being administrative counters. Then on the fourth and final sheet, we have the rest of the administrative counters for use with the game. Next, we'll take a look at the rulebook. This is a 15-page full-color book. This is going to be the Shattered Union series rulebook. So this is going to apply to all of the games in the series. Inside of the front cover, we have a listing of all the rules and their associated page numbers. Get an introduction to the Shattered Union system. Then we get into game components, how to read your counters, how to read your cards. Then we get to the sequence of play, game turn marker phase, command decision phase, held formation activation CIC card phase, your activation phase explained to you there, all the steps broken down. You have some text examples in blue here, and then important notes in the yellow call-out box. A lot of text examples, and we also have some illustrated examples. Then we get to the fire combat step. It's going to give you an illustrated example there for that. Movement step, close combat step. Then we get to the end phase. Skedaddle, still the coolest term for retreat in any game, I think. Broken units, regroup, victory determination, and then we are at the back of the series rulebook. And lastly, we'll take a look at the game-specific rules. This is an 11-page full-color book. Start off with an introduction, then we have the game components, an explanation of the map, the counters, anything that may be different from the base series rules for this game. Then we have the command decision phase, activation phase, fire combat, movement, and close combat. All that information for this game specifically. Then we have victory determination, then we get into scenarios. There are 3 scenarios in the game. We start off with Legends Go Toe-to-Toe, which is the historic Bronner's Farm. This is going to give you all the information you're going to need to set up your game, including your order of battle, and then of course, all your turn-specific information. Reinforcements that come in, if there's any activations or if there are any events, things like that, will all be spelled out for you here. Then we have Bring Out Your Dead, Gentlemen, What If scenario. Same format as the other one. And then lastly, we have the Brave Men's Tears. The short historic version is going to be the third scenario. Then we have the designer's notes. And then we are at the back of the game specific rules with a copy of the same player aid we saw earlier. And that is a look at everything you get inside of Bring Out Your Men, Gentlemen, The Battle of Bronner's Farm. This is a game designed by Claude Whalen, and it is published by Tiny Battle Publishing. Well, it's great to see this series continuing on, and it's great to see Claude running with it. It started off by Herm, and then Claude took it over, and he's been doing a great job. Last one with Conquest of the Valley, now Bring Out Your Men, Gentlemen. And this is going to be leading into the fourth and final, at least for now, game in the series, which will be on Gettysburg. That was the initial plan, which is what's fitting here is because this is the Battle of Second Manassas, which led to the Battle of Gettysburg. So I think it's kind of neat how sequentially everything is going in order here. It's a really neat system. It's really fun, fast playing. You can get games done in under 3 hours. 2-3 hours, you're knocking out a game very easy in an evening. So it's a streamlined system. It's the chit pull, but you're using cards instead, which is really cool. I love chit pull. I think it's a fantastic way to play a war game, and it's especially great if you're a solitaire player. I think if you're an ACW series fan, this is definitely a series you need to take note of. If you've not already played any of them, pick one up, check it out. If you like it, well, you're going to now have 3 games in a series you can pick up. This is currently on pre-order. It'll be available very, very soon. I think it ships in a few weeks from Tiny Battle Publishing, but it's really great to see a third game in the series out. And who knows, maybe they'll go past the originally planned 4 games in the series. So like I said, the game is available on pre-order now, so go over to the Tiny Battle Publishing website and place your order if this game looks interesting to you. Well, I hope that helps you guys out if you've been curious about this one. If you have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.